If you're one of those people that looks at modern movies and thinks, this just doesn't feel like cinema, it doesn't look like it used to, what happened? Well, rest assured, you're not alone. A lot of people are thinking and feeling the same thing. And most, if not everyone, attributes it to film versus digital. And this is only half of the story because there's a lot that has changed in that transitionary period. When film went to digital, so many other parts of filmmaking changed along with it. And today we're going to talk about what film lost when it went digital. Ultimately, I think I'm going to end up blaming Ronald Reagan and millennials in general, but don't worry, we'll get there. First, let's talk about the eras of filmmaking because these are the predominant buckets or categories I think most films, movies fall into.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
You've got the film era where things were shot on film. This is from the dawn of cinema itself, starting in the early 1890s all the way to 1999. At that turn of the millennium is when things entered a transitionary period where film went digital and we were having movies shot on film, but also new movies being produced digitally as well. This era lasted from 2000 to 2012, and from then on, we've kind of been in a predominantly digital era. Of course, filmmakers can still choose to shoot on film in the old school traditional way, but almost every modern blockbuster or production is doing some kind of digital shooting and digital post-production. Everything has pretty much gone digital, and there's a lot of good reasons why. But even before cinema, you have to think pre-film, where everything came from before, which is the theater. That's where a lot of the tools, technology, equipment, and techniques came from when it came to lighting and set design, costumes, and makeup. A lot of those elements of theater made their way into those early days of film, and they've been evolving ever since. But let's start with the biggest change, because of course everyone knows that cameras themselves changed. When you think of a film camera, you probably think of something big, heavy, and mostly mechanical. And these film cameras were nothing like the modern digital cameras we have today. On a film camera, you can see through a viewfinder and you can see the frame of what you're shooting, but you can't actually see how the film is capturing it. So there's a lot of room for error, a lot of easy mistakes to make. You need a vast array of additional tools to make sure that your film is exposed properly. And there's this element of just trusting the process, leaving it up to the professionals, and everyone else just kind of looks at it as this black mystery box that just kind of works, but how it works and what it does is ultimately not really in their control. There's a lot of science to it, but it's also an art form as well. Now, when you shift to digital cameras, it's a whole new world of opportunity. The technology is just amazing. The cameras have gotten smaller, lighter, and they're far more electronic than mechanical. And this allows for a lot of really cool technology. Real-time pixel peeping. Digital cameras operate off of a WYSIWYG model where what you see is what you get, and you can analyze in real time. You can have a group of people all looking at the same feed, seeing the shot and knowing, perfect, that's exactly what we want. There's a lot less room for error, and there's way less leaving it up to chance. Along with the cameras, the lenses also changed. Old school film lenses were optically imperfect. They were good and had character, but there were still flaws that provided certain aesthetics, and you had to shoot in a way to embrace those characteristics. Using a higher aperture was often a way to increase the optical sharpness, as well as allow the focus puller to actually get the shot in focus. Because again, no one is seeing a feed from the film camera knowing what's in focus. They don't have a monitor, they don't have a display that they can look at and check their critical focus. They're taking measurements with tape measure and knowing, okay, I've got to pull my focus from this distance to that distance and hope that the shot is in focus. In order to do that effectively, you need to shoot with a higher f-stop. And this creates a deeper depth of field, meaning more is in focus. As cameras have evolved, so have lenses, and now the new modern digital lenses are incredible. They are so sharp, they are so pristine. All of those older flaws and imperfections have been resolved. We have some of the best glass imaginable. And it is really easy to do focus now, either manually and checking for confirmation on the monitor, knowing exactly that you have your critical focus, or relying on autofocusing tools as well. This means modern lenses can be shot wide open at the lowest aperture values, having that super shallow depth of field, the blurry backgrounds, and still having razor sharp details in focus. Along with these changes, we've also got the grain changing as well. This is what a lot of people associate with film, the film grain, the texture, and that's what was there on these film cameras. When you're shooting on film stock, you're going to have grain. It's that random natural texture across every inch of the frame. And what's important to remember is that the larger the film stock, the smaller that grain structure is going to be. And what's counterintuitive to a lot of people is that that grain can actually add a perceived sharpness. So you'll notice that with those imperfect lenses and just the way film is shot, things tend to be a little bit softer. There's not as much resolution, there's not as much detail, but the grain adds a certain level of sharpness and detail, even though the image may be on the softer side. When you switch to digital, we stop talking about grain and we start talking about noise, digital noise, the noise that comes from the electronic sensor. Same as film, the larger digital sensors mean smaller and smaller noise patterns. And over the years, sensor manufacturers have gotten really good, really smart, really sophisticated at cleaning up all of that noise. We have things now like dual gain circuitry or triple gain circuitry, where these cameras can practically shoot in the dark and still get crystal clear images. At the same time, the resolutions keep increasing, meaning we're getting sharper and sharper details in every pixel of that image. But let's not forget, the lighting has changed as well. Film got a lot of its lighting technology from the theater. And so back in the film days, lights were big, they were hot, they were bright, and they were sharp. A lot of stage lighting is built on hard lighting, so you'll get striking shadows and contrast. And to avoid excessive film grain, you want to light up the scene. A lot of light is needed for those higher aperture values to keep things in focus, but also to expose the film properly. When you shift to modern lighting, lights have gotten a lot softer and they've gotten a lot dimmer because you don't need the power anymore that you used to. The camera sensors are sensitive enough, they can almost see in the dark, so a dimmer light and a softer light is completely fine. And this is more atmospheric than theatrical. We're building a mood with modern lighting. A lot of the lighting is meant to be very intentional, very motivated, very practical to the scene. Where modern filmmakers might not want to light up the whole frame, maybe they only want to light up parts of it because that's what feels most real and authentic and motivated for the scene. Compare that to the sets as well, because they have changed. In the film era, again, borrowing a lot from the theater, from the stage, sets were big and bold and practical, and there was a lot of emphasis on color and separation between the foreground and background, making sure that actors would stand out just like you would want on stage. But as things have changed over the years, modern sets have embraced a more narrow color palette. You'll see a lot of modern productions have a very simple and minimal color palette, which some find to be very cinematic, but also some might think it's a little bit one-dimensional. And a lot of these modern productions rely heavily on how things will be handled in post-production, which brings us to color grading, which is what a lot of people associate with getting cinematic images. It's all about the color grade. Well, in the film days, the look was kind of baked in. The film was the grade itself. You chose your look by picking the type of film you were shooting on. And yes, you'd have some control over things like exposure. You could make it brighter or darker depending on your darkroom process. You could make it warmer or cooler, but you're doing these push and pulls globally to the whole film. In the film days, it was all about these global adjustments, but what you shot is what you got for the most part. And in general, there was an emphasis on brighter skin tones, making sure that actors, again, would stand out. Over time, though, that changed and shifted to more darker and darker exposures, leading us to the world of digital, where you have immense, fine-tuned detail control over every pixel in the image. You can color grade now by masking and remasking and relighting. There are so many fancy tricks to color grading now that you can really remake the entire image in post-production. But you will notice a strong bias towards yellow and green as a starting point. Digital sensors favor the green spectrum, so there's a lot that colorists need to do. You'll also notice a preference to more desaturated and muted colors in modern grading. For whatever reason, that has become the new cinematic standard for a lot of folks. And even the idea of contrast is frowned upon in that a lot of colorists will pull their highlights down and lift their shadows up so that the whites are more of like a bright gray and the blacks are more like a darker gray. But however you do it, you have a lot more precise control over the color of each individual shot. So far, we've been talking a lot about the technicals, but I think it's important to address that the audience has changed as well. If you look at the film era, a lot of films were marketed as family films. Bring mom, dad, the kids, grandpa, grandma, bring everybody to the movies to go see this family-friendly piece. And at a certain point in time, we only had G, PG, and R ratings. PG-13 wasn't even a standard until the mid-80s. Of course, there were adult movies, but they were separate. You had family movies, kid movies, and adult movies. At the same time things have gone digital, we've also transitioned who these movies are made for. Modern audiences are primarily built off of PG-13 and R ratings.
It's showtime.
An older demographic in general, catering to teens and adults. This leads to a lot of modern movies embracing an edgier, darker tone in general, which reinforces a lot of those stylistic choices we were talking about before. Those technicals are directly influenced by who the movie is made for. And don't get me wrong, there are still family-friendly movies. There's a lot of kids movies, but these are primarily animated films. Yes, they're doing the live-action remakes, but almost every movie, G or PG, from the last 10 or 20 years has been an animated film. When we're talking about theatrical releases, because streaming is a whole different beast entirely. And I think this comes down to a phenomenon that I have personally noticed in my own life, in that I kind of think millennials are the most targeted demographic of all time. You see, starting in the early 1980s, there was this big movement towards deregulation, and it led to a lot of TV and movies being designed and produced to sell merchandise to kids. We had this huge push towards toys and cereal and t-shirts and consumerism for children. The kid culture of the 80s and 90s was heavily monetized. But as those millennials grew up and those demographics shifted, we've seen a similar shift in marketing and who entertainment is made for. Now it's all about monetizing that nostalgia.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, did you want to?
Sorry, I'll let.
Still catering to the millennials who are now adults, who once were children. It's all reinforced. And that transition happened at the exact same time that film went digital. I have noticed this firsthand myself as someone who falls within this demographic of someone born between 1981 and 1996. It has felt like my whole life, the world has been built to sell to me. When I was a kid, it was Disney movies and going to the theater to see family-friendly movies. There were adult movies, but there was a lot of family-friendly kids, teens, family entertainment.
Bring your family to Burger King, where value is king every day.
As I've gotten older, I've noticed that those same family-friendly movies don't really exist anymore. And I would love for them to exist because I have my own kids now, but the big blockbusters that are coming out are still targeted to me, the adult, as the primary consumer. So I find it a very interesting phenomenon, probably a topic for an entirely separate video all unto itself. But regardless, I did want to mention it here because I think it's an important part of the overall picture of just how much everything has changed. The cameras, the lenses, the grain, the lighting, the set design, the color grading, the audience, and the culture have all changed at the exact same time that film has gone digital. So if you want to blame digital, I would say think again, because arguably digital is the superior choice. It is technically better than film in almost every single way. But a lot of people find it artistically inferior because a lot of those changes that happen along with it. Remember, film isn't perfect. You may have a certain sense of nostalgia or preference for things like grain and softer images via lower resolution, or some of those imperfections you get with film because it is so sensitive. Digital makes cleaner, higher resolution images far easier, far better than we ever could before with film, and it has opened up who can even make a film by becoming almost a universal commodity. You could shoot a film, a modern movie, with your smartphone if you really wanted to, but none of those technicals actually make the movie itself better, and I think this is what so many people are still missing. They want that focus on story and character and writing and all of those fundamentals of storytelling, regardless of how the movie looks. So that's what I always come back to. Yes, a lot has changed as things have gone digital. In a lot of ways, it's been for the worse, that somehow just by shooting on film, it'll automatically make things better and fix all those problems, because it just won't. You could shoot a modern movie on film and it would still have a lot of the same common modern problems that we keep seeing, just because everything about the landscape has changed. It's not just the camera, it's not the one thing, it's not film versus digital, it's all of it. And you have to remember all those pieces in play because they all reinforce each other.